The next one I'm going to talk about is unit studies, the unit study approach. Now, in the public school setting, this is often called the thematic studies because it does follow themes. It's like it's usually around a book or a topic, horses, for example. You know, your child really wants to learn about horses, or you want to use horses as a jumping off point to teach about history and zoology and great literature around horses. So it's what it sounds like. You use a theme and you plan all subject areas around that theme. So you have, let's just use the horses example. So you might learn about how to care for horses and horse anatomy, and the horse culture. Then in history, you might learn more about how horses have impacted warfare. You might learn about how horses came to America, or how horses were used in Arabia or places like that, how they were used in agriculture. Then you might read some great literature featuring horses, Black Stallion, or things like that. So you're bringing in all the subject areas around one topic, and that can be really fun. And lots of families do that, and it makes it very easy to teach more than one grade level at the same time, because you can use the same core pieces of writing or video or whatever you choose as your core works that you're learning from. But then out of that, you can assign some a little bit more challenging material for your older kids, and you can assign more involved activities for them and have it more simple for the younger kids. So you can have them all learning the same thing, but doing different types of activities around that common theme. So a lot of families like that, and that's where some of the DIY starts to come in, and using library books comes in, and getting those learning kits, because if you're going to just choose a topic, it's pretty easy to just go to the library, choose some books. Maybe you go to some websites where they have lists of good books on different topics, and you just choose some and put it together. And there are some curriculum providers that have some ready-made units if you would prefer to do it that way, and they also include activities for multiple age levels. So Konos.com, that is Konas, that's one. Weaver, which is from Alpha Omega, which, as I mentioned before, is one of the textbook providers, but they have other stuff. So Weaver is something they offer. Some other ones are Tapestry of Grace, 5 in a Row for smaller children, Trisms, Amanda Bennett's Unit Studies, Winter Promise. You can also consult a couple of books, How to Create Your Own Unit Study from Valerie Bent, that's Bendt, and Design a Study by Catherine Stout. So as I mentioned, some of the great benefits are that multiple family members can learn together. You can also dive really deeply into areas of interest that children may have, and spend a little time there. And at the same time, because you have planned activities, you can track what you're doing. But the record keeping with a unit study is it becomes a little bit different than, say, with the classical or the traditional method. But remember, in Illinois, you don't need to keep super meticulous records unless that is your preference. I'll just tell you for myself, I just have those expandable folders, and I just put all the activities in there. If they're doing anything online, I have evidence that I paid for it and they did that and got some kind of certificate or something that they did it, and just put it all in there. I'm not like the super organized person, but that has worked just fine for all grades up through about 7th or 8th. That was fine, and there has never been a problem. So if you really don't want to do tons of organization, that is fine. You can just do that. So it also helps to generate curiosity and some independent thinking, a lot like the classical method, and there are some other ones that are like that too. And diving deeply into one topic is how a lot of us learn. And think about yourself, when you get really interested in something, you just go all out, right? Like you just can't get enough and just keep reading and watching, and then maybe you go to a class on it or something. You really dig in. So that is really the essence of a unit study, is being able to go as deep as you want and allowing your children to really, really know something, not just sort of a cursory look at it, but really dig deep. They could even become experts on that. So that's a possibility. And it's, they're not super complicated to create. You know, but they do require a little bit of DIY if you're not going to use a curriculum, of course. And it does require some creativity to come up with any just different kinds of activities that you might do around a topic. There are quite a few unit studies that are available for free online that you can just take as a base and expand on, but they don't have something on everything. Sometimes you have to take that interest and be just really creative with that yourself. I can give an example. My younger daughter is 15 now. She had an interest in unicorns. And did unicorns really exist? And are there any modern unicorns? I was like, well, how do I make a little unit out of unicorns? That was challenging, but we did come up with some things, and we did find some stuff on narwhals, and we did find some single-horned deer-like creatures, and we learned a little bit about some myths that people believed about these things. So we dug a little bit about the animals and the mythology that people have believed, and some of even like some medicinal things that people think and even still use horns for today. And that was really interesting. And we made it into a book that had all these little lift the flaps and pop-ups and stuff. So go to town and be creative, flex your creative muscle with this stuff. It's awesome. Because some things can be a little more challenging with this method. If you're using it all the time and you're having to always come up with it yourself, you can get kind of burned out on that, and then you don't want to do it anymore, of course. And some subjects are hard to integrate into a unit study. I mean, math doesn't always integrate real well into a unit study. So if you're really hardline on that method, you might neglect some things that just because they don't fit into the unit. I will say that some special needs kids really, really get into the unit study because they have obsessive interests, and they really love digging deep into their interest, and they benefit greatly from this particular method of homeschooling.